Rough day. Yesterday was a rough day in voiceover. And I don't say that to get your pity, but just to share some reality with you. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. What's going on? My name is Bill DeWeese. I'm a professional voiceover actor, voice talent, voice coach, voiceover demo producer. I've written books on the topic. My latest is Get Paid Using Your Voice, Get Found, Get Heard, and Get Hired. The digital download of this is available below in the description. So check it out. Of course, my comprehensive training program is the VoiceOver Blueprint. I call it VoiceOver University. If you want to enroll and be a part of that school, ongoing education and training and support, mentoring, there's a link below in the description. I know a lot of the students in that program are here this morning, and I'm glad you are here today. If you haven't yet checked in on the live chat, make sure that you do that. And speaking of rough day, that yesterday's rough day continued in today because I walked out into the kitchen to do what I usually do, let the dogs out, and then I grind some fresh Michigan cherry coffee. And I was trying to put my phone in the pocket of my shorts. My voiceover uniform in the summer is shorts and t-shirt. In the winter, it's sweatpants and hoodies for comfort, and it's very quiet. The clothing in the studio. But anyhow, so I'm in the kitchen trying to put my phone, and I can't get into the pocket of my pants, only to realize I have my running shorts on backwards. How does that happen? I don't know, but sometimes, when something bad happens, it just kinda continues on to the next day. So, off to a rough start today, but I'm sure it'll get better from here. Well, it is 9/11, and, I think September 11th, 2001 hits, especially Americans, uh, pretty hard this time of year and differently depending on your age and what age you were on September 11, 2001, and especially where you lived. If you lived, for instance, in New York City, or Washington, D.C., two of my youngest grandkids, over the past few days were given assignments in school where they were asking somebody who was older than them, their memory and things that happened during that time. And I remember I was on the air. I was working a morning show. I was living here in this area, and I remember a listener calling in saying, "Hey, did you hear a plane?" They thought it was a small private plane had hit one of the World Trade Center towers, and we were a CNN affiliate. We ended up going live to CNN at that point because obviously they had all the resources to cover it on a continual basis, which is what happened. But for me, it hit in a unique way as I had just been in the World Trade Center not terribly long before that. When I say not terribly long, like it was like a year and a half prior to that, I had been in a business meeting. I was working for a corporate learning services company, and we had a meeting with a company called Marsh, which occupied the top, like the 99th and 100th floors of the South Trade or the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And I had a meeting there with the CEO of the company, and Marsh was our biggest client. And I'll never forget that day because, I mean, you may or may not remember, but in 1993, a terrorist group had detonated a bomb in the parking garage of the World Trade Center, which killed 6 people, injured thousands of other people. And that was in the back of my mind that entire day. I was a little on edge about that. And of course, we were way up there. And I remember that the clouds were so dense that you couldn't even see out the windows. The clouds just were like covers over the windows. But the thing that made it particularly hard is that in our company, we worked with a number of people, myself included, with people who worked there. I worked from home, a home office here, but we're in touch on a daily basis, with folks there, and so this time of year is a reminder. And after last night's political debate and the political climate, how divisive it is, one thing that I take away from that, and I know it's not related to voiceover, but I think it's important to say, is that for just a few short days or weeks, we became a family. I mean, there were no strangers, especially if you lived around Washington, D.C. or New York City. Nobody was a stranger. People go out of their way to help people because we were reminded of how frail and fragile this life was and how anything could happen at any time. And maybe it's just a good reminder at this crazy time of the year, especially coming out of a political debate, to know that there are things that go beyond that go deeper than that. Not that those things aren't important, they are, but the fact that we're family in a larger sense of the word is a pretty big and important thing. So let me segue as smoothly as I can into yesterday. And the reason I'm sharing my rough day with you yesterday, again, is it's not for your pity. I don't deserve any pity at all. But I think, the people that you listen to on YouTube or that you follow or that you view as a coach or mentor, and especially if you pay them for their services, I think there's an obligation to share with you the full realities of what it's like to be a voiceover talent. And anybody tells you that it's always awesome and everything goes your way, that's obviously not even close to being the truth. It's a wonderful business. I love it. And I'm really so glad that I've had the privilege of helping so many people to grow and be successful in voiceover. And if I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. But yesterday was just one of those days. It's a reminder that, you can never rest on your laurels. You can never get too terribly comfortable. And what happened was I was recently contacted by a client through the result of direct marketing, which is always exciting when somebody responds back. But this client was particularly excited, seemed to be, about finding me and loved my demos and said, "Hey, we got this project, and I think you're perfect for it." And the job paid really well, and so I was very excited. Of course, why wouldn't you be? And so even after all these years, I always get excited for opportunities like that. And so he gave me a script and said, "I really liked what you did on your demo, this particular thing," but then went on to give me additional direction and then a scratch track. So a scratch track is where, or scratch vocal is where somebody reads the voiceover like as a placeholder. And so it was somebody there in the office, and they wanted me to listen to that and use that as a reference. And here's the mistake. If I made a mistake, and I'm not saying this wouldn't have happened otherwise, but I think the mistake that I made here was that I started to pay more attention to the scratch track than I did to my demo, which he referenced. The demo he referenced, that's me. So for me to relate to that and to do that again would be much easier than to try to do what. And here's the thing, when a client records a scratch track, if they're not a voiceover talent, you know what it's like when you're especially new at this. You feel like you're expressing yourself appropriately, but what happens from somebody listening on the outside, it can be often very monotone and the same. There's no emotional change or shift. And that's what this was. It was straight through. Not that I tried to sound exactly like that, but I was listening to it as a reference and trying to follow the direction. And I got an email back yesterday. Well, actually, I got two emails. First email said, "No, it sounds too announcery." Okay, well, fair enough. Let's go back and I went back and listened to my demo this time, and then it gave a couple of other reads and sent it off. And then last night received the dreaded email that said, starts off with, "Thank you so much." And as soon as I saw "thank you," I knew, because I've been through this enough times to know how this goes. "Thank you for submitting, a read. We appreciate it. The client has decided to go in another direction." Ugh, that sucks. Now, the reason I share that is not because it's devastating to me. I mean, it's not the first time it's happened. I don't like it. It stings a bit. But if you're newer in voiceover and you experience something like that, it can be devastating. If you haven't been doing it long enough to have enough successes stacked up so that it doesn't put a big dent in your self-worth, your self-esteem as a voiceover talent, your ego, um, it can do some damage. So what I want you to understand is that this kind of stuff happens to everyone, everyone. And if somebody tells you it's never happened to them, I would, I don't know about that. It happens. You can't always nail everything. But I felt like this was like it was mine to lose kind of thing, and I lost it, and it's too bad. And hopefully, I've learned from it, and I'll pay more attention to being me as opposed to trying to maneuver myself to sound like something that somebody else wants me to be, because that's where I always do the best, and that's where you will do your best. But when you think you've got the job and you think it's a sure thing and you don't get it, don't be discouraged. And it doesn't mean that you're not good. It doesn't mean that you can't be successful in voiceover, because I just want you to let you know it happens to everybody, and it's part of the process of being successful in voiceover. So you work through it, you move on, you let it make you stronger, and you keep going. You keep auditioning. You keep marketing, you keep doing your things, and you let the numbers work for you. Eventually they do if you don't give up. Hope you find that helpful. Well, thanks for checking in on the live chat. For those of you who haven't, take a second, if you would, just to let me know where you're watching or listening from today. And thanks for all the likes, by the way. We've got 70 on the live stream. We've got 32 likes. That's pretty darn good. Recently, we've had some 100% participation days. So I'm just saying, if you like the video, you feel like it's helpful to you, and you want to make sure that YouTube shares this with other people searching for similar information, just give it a quick thumbs up. Congrats, Galen was first in today. He's checking in from Carborough, North Carolina, where Galen just got the first job since moving to North Carolina. Galen, way to go. Congratulations. Rob, what's going on? He's wishing us a wonderful Wednesday from Loveland, Ohio. Terry, good morning to you in sunny Falston, Maryland. John, with the camel icon, because it is, after all, hump day. Good morning to you in Denver. John, appreciate you being here. GS in Longview, Washington. Paul in Kentucky. Johnny in San Francisco. Ethan in Toronto. Christina, Grass Valley, California. Rusty in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. David, what's going on in Hamilton, Canada? Amisha, how are you in South Carolina? Becky, what's going on in Michigan? Kirk, good morning. Vincent, Palm Bay, Florida. David, in the heart of Kansas. Andrew in Latvia. Jason in Nebraska. Marla in Texas. Sandra, Dallas, Fort Worth. Sandra from Worthington, Ohio. Jim, it's my birthday. Jim, happy birthday. Usually this is the sound of voiceover success, but today, Jim, it's the sound of happy birthday to you. Doug in Greensboro, North Carolina. Angela, good morning from Harmony, North Carolina. Denise in Long Island. Jim in Memphis. Hey, Anna in Texas, or Anna, Texas. Is that the name of the town, or is that your name? Anna, Texas. Either way, good morning and thank you for being here. Josh, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Scotty in Brookings, South Dakota. Corey in Wisconsin. Andrew, good morning. Victor, hey there, in Beaufort, South Carolina. Dennis in Pasadena, California. Rob says, good morning from sunny San Francisco Bay Area. Finished initial production on my second audiobook, now waiting on feedback and pickups from the publisher. Rob, awesome. Keep marching forward. You've really made some progress. And it's good to see. I love seeing that. Hey, Joe in the UK, what's going on? Rob says, today I'm going to record a new commercial demo. All right, Rob, glad to hear that. Gail in Detroit. David, how are you doing? Yeah, let us never forget, indeed. Tim in Altoona. Phil in Tokyo. Little quick Michigan cherry timeout. Meryl, what's going on in New Jersey? I clearly remember every minute of that day, referring to 9/11. I was traveling to New York City for an audition just as it was happening. I saw it firsthand from across the Hudson. I can't imagine what it must have felt like. And to be able to actually see the results of what happened firsthand. Ben in the UK, good to have you here. Tim in cloudy Austin, Texas. Marlene, good to have you here this morning. Norman, good morning. R.I.P. James Earl Jones. Yeah, one of the great voices of our time. I produced of course, James Earl Jones was the iconic voice, of so many things, but he was the voice of CNN. And a number of years back, I was able to record a commercial voiceover demo. I produced it for the original voice of CNN. His name's Tom Gott. He was the producer of Robin Mead's headline news, morning headline news. And he retired from that job several years back. And as he was retiring, he went to transition into some voiceover. So it was just cool to work with somebody who was a voice of something as iconic as that. But yeah, James Earl Jones will be missed. Joy, and I know some of you guys are saying, well, what about Darth Vader? His credits go, of course, James Earl Jones credits. Crazy, amazing. Joy, good morning to you from sunny but very noisy because of landscapers, Southfield, Michigan, reflecting about 9/11. Hey, Theo, good morning to all from the kitchen table in lovely Palos Hills, Illinois. Crazy time of the year, yes, but grateful to live in a place and era where creating your own business from home is reality. That's the truth, Theo. Man, we are lucky indeed to be able to do that. It's the only reason I'm able to do it. Otherwise, I would have never been in this job. Dan's wishing us a good morning from Cumming, Georgia. Hey, Ariel, how are you doing in dark and quiet California? Jay's on vacation this week. It's great. I hope so, Jay. That's fantastic. Hey, John, good morning to you. 65 degrees this morning. Yeah, what is it here in the Chicago area? Right now it's 58. So it's that time of year where it's like it's going to be in the 80s here today. So it's getting really cold at night and really warm in the day. And the transition. I was at my youngest grandson's. He's plays baseball for the junior high that he goes to, and we were at the game. And boy, it started off in the 80s, and then it just in no time at all. It just started. The temperature started to plummet. It was a good evening for a bonfire. That's a fun part of fall, right? Hey, Tanya. Good morning, Robert in Bronx. The Bronx. It was election day, and I was working for the Board of Elections on that day. Man, yeah, it's one of those things like you don't forget where you were at, you know. And I my one of my earliest memories of my in my life was I remember the funeral of John F. Kennedy, and I was 4 years old, and I can still remember sitting on the in the living room floor watching on television. It's one of my very earliest memories. Sandra says we left Columbus and flew to Newark to catch our flight to San Jose. It was the same flight number that crashed in PA just a week later. My gosh, unbelievable. Wayne in Port Orchard, Washington. Hey, James, good morning. Angela, don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you. Oh, by the way, wow, we're up to 50 likes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Um, let's see here. Kevin says, ooh, big group today. It's Salty Crap from Bangkok, Thailand. Well, it's so good to have you here today. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Galen says, I was recently contacted by a large company to play the main character in a video game, didn't end up booking, so I understand the feeling. Yeah, that does suck. Yeah, here's another one. I'm just while we're on the topic, you mentioned video game. A while back, I was hired to record the game trailer for Shaun White Snowboarders, the video game. And so I did the work, did, the session, recorded it, everything was done. Client seemed to be happy, and then got back to me and said that my client's client, the one who actually was paying to have the job done, the brand of the I forget, is it Activision? I don't know who did Shaun White Snowboarders. Decided they wanted to use the same guy who had done the years previous as opposed to switching over to me. So I still got paid. It's customary in a situation like that where you make half of what the agreed on price was originally if they don't use it. So at least I got something out of the deal. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Much appreciated. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.